Jenna Ortega's Wednesday Addams has truly left a mark on the world in the best of morbid ways. Sure, she's genuinely quirky, kooky, and maybe a little crazy, but it's what makes her one of the best protagonists on Netflix right now. We'd argue that she's the best out of them all, and we're going to show you why. Stick around as we gush over her best moments in the show. Be warned, there are spoilers. First off, the late night cello session. This rendition of Rolling Stone's Play It Black is going to go down in history as one of the most iconic orchestral covers of a pop song. And can we admit just how amazing this year's been for music on Netflix in general? Not to go off tangent, but the soundtracks of shows like Sex Education, Stranger Things, and of course Bridgerton have been sending intense waves throughout the music scene and changing the course of global music culture itself. This was one of the many times where it was evident just how serious Jenna Ortega was about her role, and we can see why Tim Burton approached her personally for it. This scene was the perfect way to encapsulate Nevermore Academy's nightlife, gloom, and wonder. But the other cello scene did well to show Wednesday's own mischievous side as well. You know, the one where she, blows up the Crackstone statue on Outreach Day. The kleptomania's more than evident when she picks up the scene with 4 seasons. Winter 1, Allegro non molto on her instrument, absolutely unfazed by the blazing fire only a few feet away. Up next, the fencing match. What do we love more than confident girls? Girls who can put up a fight. There weren't one, but 2 to cheer for during Wednesday's first fencing class at Nevermore Academy. Bianca made it clear from the get-go that she was a tough competition, and Wednesday didn't even flinch when she got her first win on her first try against Bianca. We'll admit, she got a little too cocky right after when she suggested a rematch with the winner drawing blood. She was cut first across the forehead, giving Bianca the point and satisfaction of humiliating the new kid on her first day. Then again, we think this is where things take a turn for the better when it comes to Wednesday's character development. She'd never had a real challenge before Bianca, and before Nevermore in general. If Wednesday was going to grow past her long-standing prime, she couldn't do it without the challenge of those better than her. The choreography for the fight was intense, and we bet most of us didn't realize that we were holding our breath the entire time. The narrow misses and swift dodges had us curled up in our couches. Honestly, we didn't even know who to root for the win. What's more, the first fight with Pilgrim Boys. While it was only a short fight, it was probably the most entertaining one. Not to mention that it was an unfair situation with 3 taller boys against 1 short girl, but Wednesday squashed all concerns when she unleashed her poker-faced wrath onto the 3. The funniest part wasn't even how the boys were beaten up by a lone fighter, but rather how Wednesday so easily used their own bodies against each other. The part where she dodged a punch without barely moving, and how it landed on his friend's face right behind her was chef's kiss. Not a hair on Wednesday's head was out of place by the end of it, pointing to the amount of skill and practice she's had in combat, and foreshadowing her capability when it comes to defending not just herself, but others as well. Also, Tyler coming to Wednesday's defense right after was pretty cute. Our girl did no wrong. Now for Every Day is All About Me. While this particular quote did point to the levels of selfishness Wednesday possesses, it's still one of those that deserve to be on mugs and t-shirts with a doodle of her face on them. The dialogue came out of nowhere, but it was also unsurprising, and we didn't find it very hard to agree with her. Although, who doesn't love cake and a slightly overused and awkward song? Maybe Wednesday has a point. We could drop the song, but Tyler had worked so hard on the cake with the thoughtful 98% dark chocolate ganache, and we can only wish we'd had a taste of it. It looked good. And let's not forget Enid's sweet gift, the black snood. While it wasn't Wednesday's cup of tea, it's a fashion statement we've been seeing a lot in the TikTok knitting community. Coming up, the best mother-daughter duo of the year. Let's be honest, the entire episode was pretty amazing. No mother-daughter relationship safe from the tense and rocky phase when it comes to establishing your own identity and independence. We're sure it's not any easier for boys when it comes to their dads, but there's something different about young girls and the way they grow. There were so many scenes that had us see another side to Wednesday Addams, the side where she struggled. Morticia brings out a vulnerability in Wednesday, who desperately tries to hide it with words that are harsher than what we'd normally be used to. It's almost painful to watch, if not sad. We were relieved when Wednesday finally worked alongside her mother to uncover the truth about Morticia's night at the rave and dance 30 years ago. The grave digging scene was definitely the best thing to come out of it. Equal parts funny and concerning, as Morticia gushed over the time when Wednesday got her first grave digging kit right before the police rolled in. Something tells us Morticia wanted to get caught, so she didn't have to spend a night away from Gomez. Let's look at the battle with Crackstone. This episode was probably the most scared we'd been for Wednesday. She was stabbed and almost bled out, took an arrow for a guy she put in jail, and was almost choked to death. But it was also one where we saw her sword fight once more. We think it's pretty obvious by now how much we love to watch Wednesday fighting and putting people in their place. Still, she couldn't have done it alone, and it was nice to see everyone coming together to tackle the danger together. We got to see Bianca finally use her siren powers and also stab Crackstone in the back. Eugene sent his bees to attack the very alive Laurel Gates, and even Enid wolf out and take down the Hyde monster. Following up, Wednesday's rave and dance. We saved the best for last, and it's the most unforgettable one yet. We're sure you already know that Jenna Ortega choreographed the entire dance herself, and we're in awe of how perfectly she captured Wednesday's quirky and spooky personality through it. The moves, the dress, and Goo Goo Muck by the Cramps playing in the background made for one of the most iconic dance scenes to come out of Netflix cinematography. It's also the first time we saw Wednesday with her hair down too. Talk about an impromptu Princess Diary moment. It's super entertaining to watch, especially with the tension broiling between Xavier and Tyler when it came to Wednesday. Even Bianca's day was ruined by how fascinated everyone was by Wednesday. If this scene didn't convince people that Jenna Ortega's this generation's Wednesday Addams, then we don't know what will. Finally, all the actors who have played Wednesday Addams. In the years since the Addams family was first introduced to the world, 16 people have played the unforgettable role of Wednesday, while 3 people voiced her animated characters. She's undoubtedly a difficult character to pull off. One of the actors was Wednesday for a Honey Nut Cheerios commercial, but she, unfortunately, doesn't have a name. Only 6 people have been behind the camera on Wednesdays so far. The other 10 actors mainly played the role of Wednesday on Broadway shows rather than on TV. Christina Ricci is clearly the most popular Wednesday so far and will always be irreplaceable for her time. But the crown definitely deserves to be passed on to Jenna Ortega. Most people barely remember the first Wednesday Addams, Lisa Loring, but that's understandable considering that she was mainly a supporting character. If anything, the first Morticia was more memorable instead, played by the beautiful Carolyn Jones, who was the OG inspiration for all the couples, Halloween, Addams family costumes we see. We hope Morticia's popularity paves the way for Wednesday going forward. Noelle Von Son was the second Wednesday Addams, but it's strange that there's very little about her to go on. Nicole Fuger played her next, but her role was a little too unnerving. There's Melissa Hunter, who played the role in Adult Wednesday, a depiction that was both hilarious and relatable when it came to dealing with the annoyances of daily life. There are still plenty of memes that go around about the show, and if you haven't watched it yet, it's definitely a refresher from the otherwise constantly morbid depiction that we're used to. While these weren't all of our favorites, they were certainly the best moments we found on the show. Which was yours? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked what you watched and want more content like this, hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.